Well, hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another video from Overbite Gaming. I am the majestic Snare. This is my disembodied voice, which is one of your 5 a day. Did you know that? Yeah, it is. Awesome. Right, before we get started on today's video, a couple of obvious things. First of all, welcome back to my solo videos. I hope you have missed me, and that's awesome. If you have, kind of, maybe not so awesome, because it's not a nice feeling to have to miss something so badly that you can't take it anymore. You get my point. Secondly, thank you for your support on the videos over the recent months, and we've finally hit and done our 500 subscriber celebration video. Pop over and have a look at that. It means you have a chance to win a game off of the list of the games that we have reviewed on the channel. If you're watching and the competition is closed, it'll be obvious when you go to that video. The title of today's video is Why I Love Nidus. Nidus, my new Warframe romance. I don't know what to say. I think Nidus is a dude, so that might be a bit strange for me. But anyway, now I said in some recent videos, well, I was going to do some frame reviews, but I don't think that's going to be an educational review consumer advice thing, because it doesn't really work like that in Warframe. So what I've got here is a frame that I've just recently picked up, and I wanted to talk to you about it because it touches on something I'm going to do a bigger video on. But in this case, Nidus is a frame that is quite late on in the game to get the final bits and bobs to actually build him. I mean, you could buy him straight away, but you could, actually to grind and get his parts. Not grind his parts, that's totally different. Don't worry doing that. But once you've got all his parts and you've built them and you've built Nidus, you have this understanding of how the frame actually works. And it's one of the most well-balanced frames I've come across. With the abilities that he has, it means that you actually have a different level of things to keep an eye on, but it does kind of bring it together. Now, he's essentially a tank, but just look at how he looks. I mean, the damn thing is sexy, and I've gone for a burnt skin bruised look. It does come off as pink, I know that, but it doesn't. It's not supposed to be pink. Okay. It's supposed to be bruised. Nidus to me is a frame that actually has a fantastic ability set. So you have your first ability, which is like a stream of infected things, much like Frost's kind of stomp, and sends out icicles in front of him. With Nidus it's a straight line, but you can just use that to start stacking up things called mutations, I believe, and the accumulation of those enables you to do other abilities. So your second ability is like this big swirly, I don't know what to call it, like tentacle mass thing that I think it's called lava, but it then basically grabs enemies, pulls them into one spot, and you can do your first attack and make it much easier to gain your mutation stacks. Once you've got that all together, you've got enough stacks up to 1 and 3, you can then do your other abilities. Your third ability is like a parasitic link, which with enemies can direct all of your damage you take onto that enemy, and if you do it with allies, I think it gives you and them a buff of sorts. I've not actually used it because, to be honest, it's much easier to stay alive as a tank, this frame is a tank really, with a parasitic link to an enemy. That's great, I love that. Those 3 abilities on their own, brilliant. You can stand in the middle of shit and just take it, right? You can deal it, you can take it, and you can be crazy strong. When you get your fourth ability, you create this kind of health regen area around you where you cast it, and you produce these like maggots that go off and kill enemies, but while you're in that area you get health regen. And it's important to note that Nidus doesn't have any shields, it's just health. So much like Inorus and maybe one other, I can't think of another one that actually only has health, but Nidus only has health, does not have any shields at all. So when you're coming to mod him, it's actually a bit easier because you've got more space to not have to worry about putting mods on for your shields. Kind of. I mean, the guy's just an absolute tank. He is the first frame I've picked up that I feel I could go into very high level missions and really hold my own and not have to rely on other people reviving me. I have that problem with a lot of my frames. I tend to be quite squishy. I go for like all out offensive, but don't think about survivability that much. And I think that's something that I'm learning a bit more as I go along with Warframe, but Nidus to me is one of those frames I don't have to worry about that. I can deal a lot of damage, I can collect a lot of stuff in terms of these mutation stacks and use them when I need them, and you can just pull all the enemies around, so it's got this great crowd control element, and you can also just deal the damage and help out your teammates. So you're not just going to be stood there taking damage, dealing damage, or just absorbing it and not really helping out the rest of the team. Nidus as a tank adds to the team effort, it doesn't just take away from it. That's a really important point. One of the other things that Nidus is fantastic for is the fact that you effectively can't die. So when you're building up these mutation stacks, if you get over 15, then when you die, you don't die, you kind of get brought back straight away, and with that you lose 15 stacks, but you don't have to revive, you don't have to get someone to revive you, and it's just fantastic for survivability. Great for someone like me. And this is the reason why I think Nidus is my frame. It's my boy. Ember used to be, I used to love playing Ember for kind of general walk around and kill everything without actually having to look. I know Ember's going to be nerfed pretty soon with the kind of abilities and how they work, so it's time to find a new guy to tango with, really. So this character, Nidus, is definitely the one that I'm going to be picking in the near future. When I go on to do sorties and high level missions, I'm going to take Nidus because I think he's got the most ability. As long as I've got energy to mess around with, I've got the ability to do that. So where would you actually find Nidus to be the best in those missions? I think personally, because this is how I play, I would pick him for defense missions where you are, well, basically any mission where you're going to have a high concentration of enemies. Defense is quite often one you can try and bring enemies into the center where you're actually defending that point and use your ability to keep them under control and collect them into one place. And also survival. If you're within a group that likes to kind of find a point to, say, concentrate the enemies and camp out almost in areas to bring all those angry mobs to you, then absolutely Nidus is great for that aspect as well. Not so good, I found, in some things like extermination missions, and also excavation missions were a bit tough when I had tried to do a few solos. Didn't quite work, but with groups it's kind of similar. You get a higher concentration of enemies. Those kind of missions are good. How you actually mod the guy, I have no idea just yet. I've put a standard build on that incorporates high duration, high range and stuff like that, just so I can actually pull in lots of enemies at one time and deal the damage and sort of control the crowd. I'm not an expert in modding, don't profess to be, I'm just enjoying the damn game. But this is kind of my review of the frame. Certainly colour wise you can make him look awesome. I think he's got a fantastic thing when he starts to use his mutation abilities. He kind of opens up in places. Now I'm using an extra helmet on my Nidus at the moment, an extra bit of appearance stuff, where he's got this like these bands over his head, almost like he's holding his head, but he's not holding his head. They're like finger points, and then they open up into like a crown when he's doing his mutation thing. I think that's great. So that's my kind of review on Nidus. I'm really enjoying it at the moment, and if you want to have some more videos about frames, then I'm happy to do them. Certainly I thought I'd start with one as a bit of a test, see how guys like it, but this is how I see those frames, or Nidus at least. If you want me to do some other frames, more than happy to. Let me know down in the comments. And don't forget, if you have liked what you've seen today, then please, it's very polite after you've consumed someone's content to give them a like or a dislike. You can do a dislike if you want, but don't take my word for it. If you liked it, then like it. Maybe subscribe and leave us a comment, let me know what frame is your favourite, and maybe from that I'll choose the next one to do it on. I haven't got all the frames, but we'll see. So thanks for watching, guys. I will be seeing you on Thursday with another video. I've got some ideas, but if you've got any other ideas you want to see on the channel, please let us know down below. Guys, take care of yourselves, and I'll see you again soon. Okay, love you, bye bye.